Hi, my name is Erin Reed, and I graduated with my master's degree in costume design from the University of Tennessee in 2019. I was so honored to have been the costume designer for Peter and the Starcatcher at the Clarence Brown Theater. I want to start by saying that as a resident of Knoxville, Tennessee, I live on the native land originally occupied by the Yuchi and Muscogee Creek people, followed by the Cherokee Nation. And I want to acknowledge the indigenous stewards of this land, both past and present. One of the first things the scenic designer, lighting designer, and I discussed with Casey, the director, was how we wanted to balance what we wanted to see on stage with some of the visuals from movies, literature, and pop culture that our audience already knows about Peter Pan. There's nothing that says that you have to stick letter to what people already know, but audiences do come to expect certain things when they've grown up on the media, such as Peter being in green, or Wendy being in blue, or what Tinkerbell looks like. These are all things that we, as the visual designers for the play, have to really think about and consult and decide what we want to take from pop culture and what we want to change. We decided early on that we wanted something that felt a lot more realistic and grounded in period, as opposed to grounded in pure fantasy. But we wanted to bring in some of those whimsical elements and reference some of that pop culture as well. To do this, we mostly did simple things by character. For Black Stash, for instance, we wanted to make sure we kept a lot of the original color scheme and a lot of the original feel of Captain Hook, the character. So we kept a lot of those colors, a lot of those purples, the red and yellow coat, but we wanted to give it a little bit more detail and really ground it in that Victorian period. For Smee as well, we love the visual of the blue and white stripes with the red cap. It feels very iconic to the character, but instead of doing a direct copy of what Disney did, we wanted to make sure that those items all felt within the ensemble that the rest of the cast was wearing, of a button-down shirt, suspenders, long trousers, and boots. So we just made the Smee version of that. Even Mrs. Bumbrake was at least a little bit inspired by the Disney movie. Nana, the dog, wore a little kind of nanny cap that was white ruffle with a little blue ribbon. Therefore, Mrs. Bumbrake was all in white and blue with ruffles all over the place, so it still felt of Nana the dog, but was the very Victorian period version of it. One of my favorite moments in the show is at the top of Act 2, where we take a total break from reality and the entire cast comes back dressed as mermaids to sing a song. It's a really fun, crazy departure from everything else we've seen up to this moment, and we really wanted to highlight this moment in a special way. A lot of productions tend to do a found object version of this, where all of the costumes are made out of things you might find at the bottom of the sea, like dish drainers and rags and spatulas and all sorts of crazy objects that have kind of cobbled together these mermaid costumes. And that's a really comedic and whimsical way to do it. However, we really wanted to take a more magical, full approach to it, where we really saw the power that Starstuff had to transform things. To serve that, we decided to make all of our mermaids individual sea creatures, complete with their own unique wigs, their own unique headpieces, bustiers, and tails, complete with glitter ruffles, that really showed us just how transformative the Starstuff had become. One of my favorite stories about these costumes was in a very early on meeting. Casey and I were talking, and she asked if we could make Black Stash, who was kind of the head mermaid, if we could make his bustier light up for the finale of the show. Looking back, she was probably totally joking, but we both kind of ran with it and really liked the idea of adding this kind of ridiculous button on an already spectacular number. So we wound up collaborating with the costume shop, with even the electric shop, with her choreography, with Charles the actor, to make this whole moment come together so that at the very end we could have nice glowing chasing bustiers to really complete the whole look. In the most pivotal moment of the play, Peter comes in contact with Teacher, who is a Scottish salmon turned into a mermaid by the Starstuff, who really inspires Peter to take on the name Peter Pan and become the hero that we really need at the end of the show. We wanted this moment because it is so important to feel as magical as possible, the pinnacle of what Starstuff can achieve. In order to do that, we really felt like Teacher needed to look as real as humanly possible, more real than the mermaids in Act 2, like a real mermaid had appeared on stage. In order to do this, a great big feat, we decided to make a unit that allowed an actor to roll on stage and have a full-sized mermaid tail and look like they were seated upon a rock and then roll back off stage. Now, as the costume designer, I was really just responsible for the visuals. So, when I designed Teacher, I really thought about two things. First of all, I wanted to make her feel really quintessentially a mermaid and really kind of the ocean. So I chose to use a lot of blues and greens that felt both calm and serene, but also very ocean-y. But also, I wanted to really lean into the Scottish part of her being a Scottish salmon. She's written with a Scottish accent, so I figured why not. I found a lovely turquoise and seafoam green tartan and made her a little tam o'shanter, one of the little Scottish hats with the puffball on top. And then I also made her a big swag that went around her shoulder and kind of hid the seam between where Terry, the actor's body, ended and the mermaid tail began. Once I'd acquired the fabrics and kind of made the whole picture, I passed all of this off to the costume and prop shops. Sarah and Christy in the prop shop were really responsible for the mechanics, while Melissa, Kyle, Liz, and Amber in the costume shop really kind of made the whole vision come together between the clothes and the wig and the swag and all of the different costume pieces that went on Terry's body. It really is those artists in the prop shop and the scene shop and the costume shop that help make this experience as an MFA candidate so invaluable. Where else but the Clarence Brown do you get to have your vision of crazy mermaids and pirates all supported by some of the most talented theater makers we know? Next week, we'll hear from one of the talented production team members that helped make Peter and the Starcatcher as rich and beautiful and magical as it was. Thank you for listening.